Isaac Newton was one of the most influential scientists in history, responsible for transforming our understanding of physics and the natural sciences. Born on January 4, 1643, in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, England, Newton had a difficult childhood, as his father died before he was born, and his mother remarried, leaving him in the care of his grandparents. His academic journey began at King's School in Grantham, and in 1661, he was accepted to Trinity College, Cambridge, where he developed an interest in mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Scientific contributions. 1. Law of Universal Gravitation. One of Newton's most iconic discoveries was the Law of Universal Gravitation. According to him, all objects in the universe attract each other with a force proportional to their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. This idea revolutionized physics, explaining everything from the falling of objects on Earth to the movement of planets around the Sun. The famous story of the apple falling on his head while contemplating gravity is partly an anecdote that highlights his ability to observe everyday phenomena and think deeply about them. 2. Laws of motion. Newton's 3 laws of motion, published in his work Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica in 1687, form the basis of classical mechanics. The laws are: First law, inertia. A body at rest or in uniform linear motion will remain so unless acted upon by an external force. Second law, force is proportional to the change in momentum of a body, F equals ma. Third law, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. 3. Calculus. Newton is also credited as one of the founders of calculus, a fundamental mathematical tool. Although his discovery occurred almost simultaneously with that of Leibniz, an intense dispute over who was the true inventor marked part of his career. Newton developed calculus while investigating physical phenomena, which helped him formalize gravitation and the movement of celestial bodies. 4. Optics. Newton also made significant contributions in the field of optics. He demonstrated that white light is composed of various colors that can be separated by a prism. This contradicted the widely accepted idea at the time that light was simple and indivisible. His work Optics, published in 1704, details his experiments and conclusions on the nature of light and color. 5. Refraction and telescope. In addition to his theoretical discoveries, Newton applied his knowledge to invention. He built the first practical reflecting telescope, which used a mirror instead of lenses to avoid chromatic distortion. Personal and academic life. After completing his studies, Newton was elected a Fellow of Trinity College, and in 1669, at the age of 26, he became the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics, one of the most prestigious positions in England. His scientific output was intense during this period, culminating in the publication of the Principia, one of the most important works in the history of science. During the 1690s, Newton stepped away from academic life to work at the Royal Mint, where he helped reform England's monetary system and led efforts to combat counterfeiters. In 1705, he was knighted by Queen Anne, becoming Sir Isaac Newton. Newton was a solitary figure, with few close friendships and many personal conflicts, including his famous dispute with Robert Hooke and his rivalry with Leibniz. Nonetheless, his achievements made him a living legend during his time. Later years and legacy. In his later years, Newton continued to serve as president of the Royal Society, a position he held for over 2 decades. He died on March 31, 1727, and was buried in Westminster Abbey, a place reserved for the most important figures in English history. Isaac Newton's legacy is immense. He is often considered the father of modern physics, and one of the greatest scientists of all time. His work laid the foundation for future generations' discoveries and continues to be a fundamental part of science and mathematics education. Newton's laws are still used to describe the behavior of objects in everyday life, and his influence can be seen in fields ranging from engineering to astronomy. Newton also profoundly influenced the philosophy of science. He believed that the universe was governed by natural laws that could be understood through observation and reason, a view that helped shape the Enlightenment era.